Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour. First session of India's lower house of parliament after the 2024 general elections to commence today with oath taking of members. Election of new speaker on Wednesday. More than 15 policemen dead as gunmen opened fire at a synagogue and Orthodox churches in the southern Russian region of Dagestan. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says intense fighting against Hamas in Rafah about to end. More troop deployment along the northern border with Lebanon begins. Intense heat continues to upend normal life across the globe. Heatwave scorches northern India, US East Coast and Spain. Deaths during Hajj pilgrimage reached 1,301. Stoppage time thrillers liven up Euro 2024 on Sunday. Germany score a last-minute equalizer against Switzerland to seal a top spot in Group A. Hungary snatch a 100-minute winner to send Scotland packing. The 18th Lok Sabha will have its first session from June 24th to July 3rd. The members will be sworn in, after which the Speaker will be elected on the 26th. The President will address joint session of both the Houses of Parliament on the 27th, and during the session, the Prime Minister is expected to introduce his Council of Ministers to Parliament. The opposition may raise several issues as well during the 8-day session. We get to more in this report.
The first session of the 18th Lok Sabha will be held from 24th June to the 3rd of July 2024. All members will be sworn into their respective seats after having won the recently concluded parliamentary elections. Pro Tem Speaker Bhartruhari Mehtab will administer the oath to the members, who will then be assigned seats with the Treasury or opposition according to their party affiliations. The Pro Tem Speaker is appointed by the President and by convention is usually the senior most member of the House. The newly elected members will then elect the Speaker, who will become the presiding officer of the House for the term of the Lok Sabha or until he or she is removed by a majority vote. In a similar procedure, the members will also elect a Deputy Speaker of the House. The Deputy Speaker's post, however, has been lying vacant since the 2019 elections and through the term of the 17th Lok Sabha. As this is the inaugural session, the President of India, who is the head of state, and all its branches will address a joint sitting of both Houses of Parliament. The address will likely outline the government's agenda for the next 5 years. The session will span 8 days, during which Prime Minister Modi will introduce his Council of Ministers to both houses. Additionally, after a decade, a party has qualified to appoint a leader of the opposition, requiring 1/10 of the Lok Sabha's total strength, which is currently 55 members. The Congress party with 99 members meets this criteria. The opposition aims to discuss several issues during the session, including concerns of the NEET examination, railway safety post recent accidents, alleged misuse of government agencies, purported distress among farmers, and alleged economic mismanagement. Bureau Report, DD India.
All right, DD India correspondent Vikas Sarthi joins us with more from here in Delhi. Vikas, good morning. You've just given a brief report to our viewers, telling them more about what could be expected in this session. Now, this is going to be the first session of Parliament after the new government took office. Let us get more from you. How significant is this session? Is it, or in fact, how different is it from the rest of the monsoon sessions that are held during this time? And also spell out more details on the expectations when we talk of election of the Speaker.
Good morning, Preeti. So, being the first session of 18th Lok Sabha. Most of the function in the first 3 to 4 days are related to the procedure which is adopted by a new elected Lok Sabha. So on the first day, as you just mentioned, that pro tem speaker will start administering oaths to the newly elected members, and before that the Secretary General of the Lok Sabha will table a list of the members who have been elected in this general election. So these lists will be tabled in the Lok Sabha, and later on pro tem speaker will administer oath to these members, and their seats will be identified by the pro tem speaker. When all members take oath on the 26th, on Wednesday, a full-fledged speaker will be elected by the House, and on the next day we will see that the President will address the joint sitting of both the Houses. And first of all, today, Preeti, as has been convention, Prime Minister will talk to a section of media before the starting of the Lok Sabha, and he will also underline what is going to be the agenda of the government not only in this session, but also what will be the agenda of the government in general. It's the third consecutive victory for the Modi government, so what will be the agenda, that will also be spelled out by the Prime Minister in the morning itself. So most of the work in initial days are procedural, and we will see that leader of opposition, who will be the leader of opposition, who will be the speaker of the House, and it will determine that what kind of functioning we will see in the coming days. It's a very brief session. At a later point, from 22nd July onwards, we will see a monsoon session, and then we will see the key legislative work and the agenda of the government. What bills are expected to be taken up by the House? All these things will be we will be able to know in the second part, from 22nd July onwards, Preeti.
All right, Vikas, let us get more from you. We've also told our viewers that the election of the Speaker will be held on 26th. Let us get more from you on this as well.
Right, so who will be the Speaker? It has not yet been made public, so
yes,
this is going to be a very interesting day. Everybody is making speculation, is speculating that who will be the speaker. He is the most important person in the Lok Sabha. You can say that he decides that how House will function, and whether it will go to the BJP or the allies parties of NDA. These are the important issues. But as of now, we don't have any kind of information or any kind of even speculation that who will be the speaker. So that day will be very interesting as far as the functioning of the House is concerned. And the second issue is whether there will be a deputy speaker or not. We just saw that in the last Lok Sabha there was no deputy speaker, and in fact Speaker Om Birla alone conducted the House very smoothly and very efficiently. So this time also, whether only Speaker will conduct the House or there will be a deputy speaker as well, that is also a point of speculation. We will have to wait for that.
All right, Vikas, you tell us that this session is more of a procedural session. What kind of role does the opposition play?
Right, Preeti. So it is expected that opposition should cooperate with the newly elected House, particularly with the Speaker as well, since the Speaker, who will be the Speaker, whether there will be an experienced member who has already been functioned as the chair, because we know that there is a panel of members as well who function as a speaker when a speaker is not in the chair. So whether there will be an experienced person or whether there will be a new person, completely new person who will conduct the House. So we expect that opposition, there is an expectation of the government that opposition will cooperate, but we have seen some contentious issue in the recent past, as the story just mentioned, that NEET exam is going to be a very contentious issue in both the houses. We may see another disruption or ruckus by the opposition MPs, but all these things will be seen in the coming days from the Monday onwards, since till Friday the most of the work of the Lok Sabha is procedural. So whatever be the strategy of the opposition, we will be able to know in the coming week, Preeti.
All right, Vikas, we leave it here. Thank you for joining in with those details and putting into perspective for us what all is to be expected in this session. All right, the Indian Medical Association expressed its gratitude to India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi and other key ministers for their response to concerns surrounding the NEET UG examination controversies. The Indian Medical Association welcomed the government's decision to transfer the investigation of alleged irregularities in the NEET UG exam to the CBI. The association commended the government's removal of Director General of the National Testing Agency, that is NTA, and the appointment of Shri Pradeep Kumar Kharoka as the new Director General. IMA also appreciated the introduction of stringent laws aimed at combating malpractices and irregularities in competitive exams. UGC Chairman Professor M. Jagadesh Kumar welcomed the government's intervention on reforming the NTA by way of a high-level committee.
गवर्नमेंट ने एक हाई लेवल एक्सपर्ट कमेटी को भी फॉर्म किया। एनटीए को कैसा रीस्ट्रक्चर करना, इसका फंक्शनिंग को रीस्ट्रक्चर करना, और दूसरा ये पूरा प्रोसेसेस जो होता है एग्जामिनेशन कंडक्ट करने में, ये प्रोसेसेस और डेटा सिक्योरिटी प्रोटोकॉल्स, ये सभी विषयों में एक कमेटी ने रिकमेंडेशंस देगा सो दैट आगे दिनों में जब हम एग्जामिनेशंस कंडक्ट करते हैं, एग्जामिनेशंस फेयर, ट्रांसपेरेंट और क्रेडिबल रहेगा।
Professor Govindan Rangarajan, Director of India's premier science education institution, the Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru, also expressed optimism that the measures taken by the government to reform the NTA will go a long way in making the exams credible, transparent and fair, and appealed to everyone to be patient.
This is an issue which affects lakhs of students. A very thorough investigation into the matter is required before an informed decision can be taken. Unfortunately, overnight solutions are not possible in such complex cases. The government has already formed a high-level committee headed by a very respected scientist, Dr. Radhakrishnan, who was the previous chairman of ISRO, who's very eminently suitable for looking at complex issues, having faced such problems in ISRO. So that committee will give its report in 2 months. Further, CBI is inquiring into the matter. The Supreme Court is also seized of this matter. So let's wait for all the inputs to come. I think we need to have patience when dealing with such complex issues. I think once all these come, definitely a very good solution can be found so that such problems don't recur again.
Meanwhile, CBI has registered an FIR as it started the probe. A 7-member committee has also been formed to oversee transparency and look into the functioning of the NTA to meet today. The committee is led by former ISRO chief Dr. K. Radhakrishnan. And now we take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India. In a big decision for the central government employees, the Government of India has amended the Central Civil Services Leave Rules 1972, which will now entitle the surrogate mother and the parents who adopt that child with childcare leave. As per the new changes, if the surrogate is a central government employee, she will be eligible to get 180 days of maternity leave. Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha inaugurated the Lychee Festival and Agriculture Exhibition on Sunday. In his address, the Lieutenant Governor extended his felicitation to farmers and said that welfare and determination to explore new avenues is the administration's main aim. The city of Kozhikode in North Kerala, known for its rich cultural heritage, was officially declared as India's first UNESCO City of Literature on Sunday. The state government announced that from the coming year, June 23rd will be celebrated as the City of Literature Day of Kozhikode. A short break ahead. You're watching DD India News. But after the break, on a day-long visit to UAE, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar holds discussions on the growing comprehensive strategic partnership with his UAE counterpart. Flood situation improves slightly in Assam as number of flood-affected people decreases. While central India will likely witness a fall in temperatures, yellow alert sounded for parts of northern India with heat wave conditions likely in the next 5 days. back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar was on a day-long visit to the UAE on Sunday. During the visit, he met UAE counterpart Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan in Abu Dhabi. Both the sides held productive and deep conversations on ever-growing comprehensive strategic partnership. Dr. S. Jaishankar appreciated the discussion and his insights on regional and global issues. He also joined the international yoga enthusiasts at Louvre in Abu Dhabi as they celebrated the International Day of Yoga 2024 in the UAE.
Exhale, motion around your neck. Use your breath, the twisting. Just let your upper body move, twist from. Feel the stretching through the right shoulders. We move towards the left side. Move.
Earlier, Dr. S. Jaishankar visited the Babs Hindu temple in Abu Dhabi. This visit to the first traditional Hindu stone temple in the Middle East underscores the growing cultural and diplomatic ties between India and the United Arab Emirates. Babs, which stands for Pocha Sanvasi Akshar Purushottam Swaminarayan Sanstha, is a prominent Hindu denomination with a global presence. Dr. S. Jaishankar said that the temple is a visible symbol of India-UAE friendship and radiates a positive message to the world and is a true cultural bridge between the two countries. The Indian High Commission in the Canadian capital Ottawa marked the 39th anniversary of the 1985 Kanishka bombing on Sunday. High Commissioner Sanjay Kumar Verma condoled the death of the victims. He said Kanishka bombing underscores the urgent need for a unified global response to combat terrorism. He added that the government, security agencies and international organizations must work in concert to dismantle terrorist networks, disrupt their financing and counter their ideologies. On June 23, 1985, Air India's Boeing 747 named Kanishka was tragically bombed by Khalistani terrorists, killing all 329 passengers in one of the deadliest attacks in the history of civil aviation. Let's get to some weather-related updates now. First up from India, where in Assam, flood situation has improved slightly. Over 810 villages, 25 revenue circles are being affected. Over 211 relief camps with 104 relief distribution centers were set up in the flood-affected areas. Karimganj has been the most affected region with hundreds and thousands of people still reeling from flood. Also, the river there flows above the danger mark. Hailstorms and heavy rainfall are expected to batter the isolated parts of northeast India. Subina Roy joins us with more from Assam. Subina, good morning. We've told our viewers about a certain, a slight respite in the flood situation as the number of people affected has decreased. You get us more clarity on this, and also how has the Met Department predicted weather in the next few days?
Good morning, Preeti. The weather in Assam has improved for the past 2 days and it is sunny. However, rains are expected, isolated heavy rainfalls along with hailstorms are predicted at certain places of the northeast, including Assam. Now, talking about the overall flood situation in Assam, since the past few days, the situation has been improving as the people affected has come down from 4 lakh to around 2.7 lakh people. And around 11 districts are affected now. Like a few days before, 19 districts were affected, but now it is 11 districts which are affected, and which includes Kachar, Karimganj, Darang, Udalgiri, Tamulpur, Nagaon, Kamrup. Talking about the villages, the highest number of villages is affected in Kamrup, followed by Karimganj and then Kachar. Now, talking about the relief camps, yesterday around 104 relief camps were set up and 107 relief distributions were set up to provide relief items to flood-affected victims. Yesterday, luckily, no human life was lost. However, day before yesterday, 2 lives were lost, taking the death toll to 29 this time in the floods of Assam. Now, the river flowing above danger level is Kushiari in Karimganj. Now, one thing to be noted is that yesterday, a heavy cloudburst occurred in Itanagar, which led to outflow of water, heavy rainfall in the city of Itanagar, and houses were damaged. And visuals were coming up where you could see the river was overflowing due to this cloudburst happening. Now, in Northeast, when we talk about Northeast, rainfall is a common phenomenon here. Rainfall occurs throughout the year. However, in these recent years, it is to be seen the average rainfall has increased. However, such phenomena of sudden cloudbursts or flash floods are occurring more and more, which indicates like signs of climate change can be felt in Northeast as well.
All right, Subina, when we also generally witness that after the floods hit a particular region, there is an outbreak of waterborne diseases, which leads to a burden on the healthcare facilities in the region. Let us get more from you as to how well equipped are the hospitals and the medical infrastructure in the state to cope up with any such, outbreak of diseases that could be witnessed in the days ahead.
Right, Preeti, you correctly pointing out, since it is a rain-prone area, the Northeast especially, so such diseases like jaundice or Japanese encephalitis, such kind of waterborne diseases and mosquito-related diseases are common. However, in these years, the government has taken appropriate measures to tackle with these diseases. Like especially when we talk about Japanese encephalitis or maybe waterborne jaundice-related diseases or diarrhea. So we have Anganwadi workers and the local authorities which go visit house to house. They go to house to take care of these patients, any such patient who is suffering from such diseases, and they are taken to government hospitals. They are acquainted with proper medicines so that such kind of diseases don't turn out into an outbreak.
All right, Sabina, we leave it here. Thank you for joining in with those details. All right, let's turn focus to other updates now. Indian Army engineers of 3 Shakti Corps constructed a 150 feet suspension bridge in North Sikkim, reconnecting the border villages which got cut off due to continued heavy rainfall. The bridge will also help in facilitating movement of people and provision of relief material to the locals inhabiting the area. The Met Department forecast very heavy to extremely heavy rainfall over Sikkim, Kerala, West Bengal, Ghat areas of Tamil Nadu, Konkan and Goa, Maharashtra and Karnataka. Meanwhile, for now, the Indian Met Department has issued a yellow alert for some districts in northern India with heatwave conditions likely in the next 5 days. The department forecast a rise in maximum temperature by about 2 degrees Celsius with most parts of West Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, Chandigarh, Delhi and Punjab during the next 3 days, while central India will likely witness a fall in temperatures. IMD issued advisories suggesting people to avoid heat exposure. All right, let's get you more weather-related updates from across the world now. Over 100 million across the U.S. are reeling under heat warning, with cities on the East Coast bracing to sizzle in record-breaking temperatures as the heat dome causing the dangerous conditions expands to the West Coast also. Residents in Washington, D.C.'s Georgetown neighborhood and in Boston, Massachusetts were seen at various water fountains to keep themselves cool. As per the National Weather Service of the U.S., the extreme heat is predicted to shift to Nebraska and Kansas, along with the heat wave and increase in humidity in Philadelphia is making it feel even more hotter than the actual temperature. The world right now is reeling under extreme effects of climate change. Extreme temperatures have gripped many parts of the world. Summer heat has returned to parts of Spain, prompting the National Weather Agency to issue a heat alert for the south, where the temperatures reached 39 degrees Celsius in the city of Cordoba. Popular among tourists, Cordoba is known as Spain's frying pan, and it's not unusual for the heat to rise above 43 degrees Celsius in summer months. However, taking into account the term given to describe one of the region's hottest places, Last year was the second warmest on record in Spain, with consecutive heat waves causing drought and wildfires. Heat wave reached extreme levels this weekend in Romania. Meteorologists had issued code red for Saturday and Sunday in several countries in the south of the country and in the capital Bucharest. As per experts' predictions, temperatures will be particularly high, even above 40 degrees Celsius. The heat wave is affecting most parts of the country. Authorities and specialists in Romania recommend avoiding outdoor activities and having a glass of water every 30 minutes and at least an hour to be spent in an air-conditioned area. Most of the people chose water parks, pools and parks for shadowy spots to find respite from heat. The 2024 California wildfire season is an ongoing series of wildfires that have been burning throughout the U.S. state of California. A wind-fueled California wildfire that started mid-June has rapidly spread over 12,000 acres overnight. The so-called post-fire prompted evacuations in the Gorman area of northern Los Angeles County. Also, according to California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, the fire is 2% contained and has burned through 12,265 acres of land and bush. However, no injuries have been reported so far. About 7,400 households in Vietnam's Mekong River Delta have limited access to fresh water following the heat wave. The country suffered its worst drought in a decade about 2 months back. The drought resulted in salinization of the soil, causing major setbacks for agricultural sector specifically. Vietnam's coffee growers have been hit hard, raising concerns about pricier beverages around the world. Vietnam is the world's second biggest producer of coffee, as coffee cherry plants have broader roots that go as deep as 2 meters to access underground water reserves. Due to the drought, farmers in plantations this time softened the soil around plants to improve absorption of rainwater and fertilizers. However, despite these measures, farmers are now coming to terms with the fact that there is no saving of the yield for the coming year. 13 people were brought before a Greek public prosecutor on Sunday after being arrested in connection with a forest fire on the island of Hydra. The 13 crew members of a yacht have been charged by a Greek prosecutor on Sunday with arson after fireworks launched from the vessel allegedly sparked a forest fire on the island of Hydra. Several news outlets in the Greek media have reported that crew members who were charged on Sunday were members of a yacht, the Persephone 1, which was docked in the southern suburb of Athens on Sunday. At least 1,301 people have died during the Hajj pilgrimage this year. Saudi Arabia authorities said that mostly unauthorized pilgrims walked long distances in intense heat. This year's pilgrimage took place during a heat wave with temperatures at times exceeding 50 degrees Celsius. Health Minister said that efforts had been made to raise awareness about the dangers of heat stress and how pilgrims could mitigate this. Health facilities treated nearby, in fact, nearly 500,000 pilgrims, including over 140,000 who did not have a permit, and some were still in hospital for heat exhaustion. A quick break ahead on DD India News. But after the break, Manchester Airport hopeful of complete resumption of operations after power was fully restored. Tibetan spiritual leader Dalai Lama to undergo medical treatment for his knees in New York. Women in Brazil come together to demand the dismissal of a bill that would equate abortion after 22 weeks of pregnancy to homicide.
चेक
जाना पड़ेगा।
अरे गेम छोड़ के
1 महीना हो गया कंप्लेंट किए हुए, बैंक रिफंड ही नहीं कर रहा है। कंप्लेंट करनी है।
अरे बैठिए बैठिए यहीं से कर लीजिए आरबीआई के ओम्बुड्समैन को।
कैसे?
आरबीआई अधिकृत बैंक, एनबीएफसी या डिजिटल लेन देन के जितने भी प्लेटफॉर्म्स हैं, उनकी शिकायत आप कर सकते हैं घर बैठे बैठे। आरबीआई के सीएमएस पोर्टल पर। ये हो गया चेकमेट। कंप्लेंट करेंगे क्या? आरबीआई कहता है
जानकार बनिए, सतर्क रहिए।
Well, Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. A quick relook at the top stories once again. First session of India's lower house of parliament after the 2024 general elections to commence today with oath taking of the members. Election of new speaker on Wednesday. More than 15 policemen dead as gunmen opened fire at a synagogue and Orthodox churches in the southern Russian region of Dagestan. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says intense fighting against Hamas in Rafah about to end. More troops deployment along the northern border with Lebanon begins. Intense heat continues to upend normal life across the globe. Heatwave scorches US East Coast and Spain. Deaths during Hajj pilgrimage reached 1,301. Stoppage time thrillers liven up Euro 2024 on Sunday. Germany scored a last-minute equalizer against Switzerland to seal top spot in Group A. Hungary snatch a 100-minute winner to send Scotland packing. An Orthodox church and a police post were targeted in simultaneous attacks across the cities of Derbent and Makashkala in North Russia's Caucasus region of Dagestan on Sunday. More than 15 police officers were killed and multiple people were injured in the attack. The governor of the Dagestan region, Sergei Melikov, said that 6 of the gunmen were shot and killed. There was no immediate claim of responsibility for the attacks. 2 churches and 2 synagogues were targeted. Now, these attacks came 3 months after 145 people were killed in a concert hall near Moscow. Meanwhile, eyewitness videos showed people wearing dark clothes and shooting on the street of Russia's Makashkala. Russian Foreign Ministry said it would seek a response from international community after the attack on Crimean Peninsula on Sunday. Russia blamed the United States for the attack. It said ATACMS missiles equipped with cluster warheads were shot down by air defense systems. The ministry added that Washington was directly responsible in the attack as U.S. specialists had set the missiles' flight coordinates on the basis of information from U.S. spy satellites. The Kremlin stated that President Vladimir Putin has been in constant contact with the military since the attack. Several Russian strikes hit Ukraine's eastern city of Kharkiv on Sunday. A person was killed and 10 people were wounded in the attacks. Regional Governor Oleh Sinubov said that the school was hit along with a private home where the casualties had occurred. The governor added that Russia is prepared to have used glide bombs in the attack. Russia has regularly bombed Kharkiv throughout the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. A year ago, Russian mercenary chief Yevgeny Prigozhin challenged the Kremlin with a mutiny. The swaggering chief of a Kremlin-sponsored mercenary army began marching towards Moscow to oust the defense ministry's leaders, accusing them of starving his force of ammunition in Ukraine. The march lasted several hours and is said to be Kremlin's largest challenge in years. DD India's Dasha Chernishova has more from Moscow.
A year ago, Russia was shaken by the news of an armed uprising. Yevgeny Prigozhin, the head of Wagner mercenary group, seized military headquarters in Russia's southern city of Rostov-on-Don and started his so-called March of Justice towards the Russian capital. Prigozhin's demand was to oust the defense ministry's leaders, whom he had criticized for months for their decision-making and ammunition paucity. President Vladimir Putin went on TV and called the rebellion a betrayal and treason. Prigozhin's march lasted several hours and was abruptly stopped after the president of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko, brokered an amnesty deal for the rebellious mercenary chief. Yet 2 months later, on the 23rd of August, a business jet carrying Yevgeny Prigozhin and his top associates crashed between Moscow and St. Petersburg, killing all 10 people on board. The Kremlin denied involvement, and Prigozhin was later buried in his hometown of St. Petersburg in a private ceremony. A year after the mutiny, Russia has made changes Prigozhin was calling for. Authorities have increased military ammunition output manifold, and several high-ranking military officials are now on trial. Dasha Cherneshova reporting in Moscow for DD India.
The International Atomic Energy Agency called on Sunday for a halt to attacks on Enerhoda, a town near the Russian-occupied Ukrainian nuclear power station, after drone strikes this week hit electricity substations serving the area. The plant's Russian-installed officials accused Ukraine of staging 2 drone strikes that destroyed one substation, damaged another, and cut power to residents for the time. All right, let's get you updates on Israel-Hamas conflict now, with a stern statement coming in from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He said the phase of intense fighting against Hamas in the Gaza Strip was coming to an end. However, the conflict would not end until the Islamist group no longer controls the Palestinian enclave. Netanyahu also spelled out his plans once the intense fighting is over in Gaza. Let's listen in.
If
there is an agreement, it will be an agreement according to our terms, and our terms are not to end the war, to leave Gaza and leave Hamas as it is. After the intense phase is finished, we will have the possibility to move part of the forces north, and we will do this, first and foremost for defensive purposes, and secondly, to bring our evacuated residents home.
Meanwhile, Israeli tanks pushed further into the southern city of Rafah. More than 8 months into Israel's conflict in the Palestinian enclave, its advance is focused on the 2 areas its forces are yet to seize: Rafah on Gaza's southern tip and the area surrounding Dar Bala in the center. The Israeli military said it was continuing intelligence-based targeted operations in the Rafah area and also had located weapon stores and tunnel shafts and killed Palestinian gunmen. Hundreds of Israeli protesters continue to oppose the government and demand a deal to release all hostages held in Gaza. Protesters gathered outside Prime Minister's residence in Caesarea and Jerusalem last week. Many waved the Israeli flag and chanted to the best of blowing vuvuzelas amid tight police security. They criticized the government's handling of the conflict and also the increasing tension with Hezbollah in Lebanon. The Yemeni Houthi groups claimed on Sunday that its forces had attacked the 2 ships in the Red Sea and the Indian Ocean. Houthi military spokesman Yahya Saria said that the first ship, Transworld Navigator, had been targeted in the Red Sea using an uncrewed surface boat, which led to direct hit against the ship. The second vessel, Stol Sequoia, was attacked in the Indian Ocean with a number of cruise missiles, he added. Manchester Airport says it hopes that the operations will be back to normal later on Monday after a power outage caused dozens of flight cancellations and delays on Sunday. DD India's Ollie Barrett gets us more from London.
Well, Manchester Airport saying that it hopes that on Monday things will start getting back to normal at the airport after power has been restored, but having to work through planes and passengers being in the wrong place. Some planes did take off from Manchester Airport on Sunday, but without baggage. So baggage will have to be reunited with a lot of passengers as well. The power failure that took place on Sunday, in the early hours of Sunday morning UK time, really knocked out the ability to do things like move baggage through the airport, carry out security checks for departing flights, and that meant therefore that at the terminals 1 and 2 of Manchester Airport, dozens of flights had to be cancelled. Thousands of passengers have been affected by all of this right at the start of the British summer holiday season, just as it's beginning to get very busy and see thousands of people leaving each day for their summer holidays. The boss of Manchester Airport has given a personal apology, has acknowledged the disruption that this has caused for many thousands of people. Airlines like Virgin, EasyJet, Jet2, tour operators like TUI are among the businesses that have been affected by all of this. It also means that a lot of flights had to be diverted elsewhere that were due to arrive at Manchester Airport because there simply wasn't room for all of the planes coming in because of the number of airlines that weren't able to take their flights off. So huge disruption being caused at what is the biggest UK airport outside of London. Ollie Barrett in London reporting for DD India.
Tibetan spiritual leader, the Dalai Lama, is in New York since Sunday to undergo medical treatment in the US for his knees. The Dalai Lama was greeted by a throng of well-wishers, some in traditional garb, outside his hotel in Midtown Manhattan, New York. The Nobel Peace Prize winner has worked for decades to draw global support for linguistic and cultural autonomy in his remote mountainous homeland. And now we take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world. Protesters marched and chanted outside a school where President William Ruto and other officials were attending the consecration of a bishop on Sunday. Local media reported that some leaders of the ruling Kenya Kwanzaa party tried to leave the venue when protesters blocked some of their vehicles. Ruto was whisked away by his security team when they realized the protesters were there to confront him. They held up signs denouncing the 2024 finance bills. Brazilian women marched in Sao Paulo on Sunday to demand the dismissal of a bill in Brazil's conservative Congress that would equate abortions after 22 weeks of pregnancy to homicide and establish sentences of 6 to 20 years in prison. The women, who burned an effigy of Brazil's president of the Chamber of Deputies and held signs and marched demanding productive rights. Protesters specifically asked for the bill to be dismissed, not just postponed. Thousands, mostly from women's rights groups, marched in Paris on Sunday against France's far-right party National Rally. Protesters fear decline in reproductive rights, women's rights and concerns about the National Rally coming to power. The National Rally are leading in opinion polls ahead of the vote. The French legislative polls will be held over 2 rounds on June 30th and July 7th. You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, after a brief weekend break, in fact, stay with us for all the action from the markets. India would be keen to avenge the loss to Aussies in the ICC World Cup held in India last year as both sides clash today in the shorter version. The Olympic torch relay winds its way through Haute-Savoie region in the French Alps. Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Let's turn focus to updates from the world of business now. Asia shares were subdued on Monday in a countdown for the US price data that investors hope to show a renewed moderation in inflation, while markets were on alert for possible Japanese intervention as the dollar tested the 160 yen barrier. American finance company MSCI's index of Asia Pacific shares outside Japan dipped by 0.1%. after touching a 2-year top last week, South Korean stocks. Also, the dollar was steady on Monday as traders looked ahead to fresh clues on the US inflation path that will likely influence the interest rates. While talk from Japanese authorities did little to temper the yen's decline back, the round number of 16. That was 160. The yen weakened to 159.94 per dollar in early trade on Monday, marking to be the lowest since April 29. This led to Japanese authorities spending some 9.8 trillion yen to support the currency. Oil prices fell in early Asian trade on Monday for a second straight session, weighed down by a stronger dollar after concerns of higher for longer interest rates resurfaced and cooled investors' risk appetite. Brent crude futures slid by 0.5% after settling down to 0.6% on Friday. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures were at a barrel down 0.5%. Beijing wants the European Union to scrap its preliminary tariffs on Chinese electricity vehicles by July 4th after an agreement by both the sides to hold new trade talks. Both the sides agreed to start tariff talks after a call between EU Commissioner Valdea Dombrovskis and Chinese Commerce Minister Wang Wentao on Saturday during a visit to China by Germany's economy minister, who said that the doors are open for discussion. Provisional EU duties of up to 38.1% are imported. Chinese-made EVs are set to kick in by July 4th, while the bloc investigates what the EU claims are excessive and unfair subsidies to the Chinese EV makers. The tariffs are set to be finalized on November 2 at the end of the EU's anti-subsidy investigation. All right, from business, we now turn focus to sports. Talking of cricket, India and Australia will clash with the Super 8 in St. Lucia on Monday. A win for India would jeopardize Australia's chances of reaching the ICC T20 World Cup 2024 semi-finals. Rohit Sharma's team is well positioned to advance to the last 4 stage. Take a look.
India is set to take on Australia in a highly anticipated high-stakes showdown at the Darren Sammy National Cricket Stadium in Cross Islet. Men in Blue would be keen to avenge the loss to the Aussies in the ICC World Cup held in India last year. Australia finds itself in a desperate need of a win after suffering a historic defeat to Afghanistan. Permutations and combination will be worked out by both teams going into this crucial encounter. For India, there is little reason to alter their lineup, which features 3 spinners. A key focus will be on Rohit Sharma, who has been dismissed 3 times by left-arm fast bowler in this T20 World Cup. Australia will like to exploit this with Mitchell Starc, who could use the windy condition to swing the ball into the right-hander. However, without movement, Rohit could take advantage of the short square boundaries. Australia will rely on Adam Zampa for controlling overs from 7th to 16th. Zampa has been exceptional, taking 11 wickets at less than 6 runs per over in this tournament. However, he faces a challenge in Surya Kumar Yadav, who has scored 54 runs off just 27 balls against Zampa in 4 T20 innings, with only 1 dismissal. Australia also need to improve its fielding after a poor performance against Afghanistan. For India, Arshdeep Singh and Jasprit Bumrah are expected to maintain their consistency, using the win to their advantage. With their game finely tuned following consecutive wins against Afghanistan and Bangladesh, India is ready for the challenge ahead. Group 1 of the Super 8s is heading towards a thrilling finale. India and Australia have a history of delivering thrilling encounter on the biggest stage. India has had the upper hand, winning 19 out of the 31 matches played against Australia in the T20 international format. This includes a commanding 4-1 series victory at home in the last bilateral series in November-December 2023. With Kya Percentage Jayashankar, this is Taposh Bhattacharya for DD India from St. Lucia.
Afghanistan's stunning victory over Australia has thrown Group 1 of the Super 8 stage wide open in the Men's T20 World Cup 2024. Our correspondent Tapas Bhattacharya explores the qualification scenarios based on the outcomes of the 2 remaining matches. Take a look.
The Super 8 stage of the Men's T20 World Cup 2024 has taken an unexpected turn with Afghanistan's stunning victory over Australia. Let's dive into the qualification scenarios as we approach the final matches in Group 1. Scenario 1. If Australia and Afghanistan win their respective matches, things get interesting. 3 teams will be tied on 4 points each. For Australia, winning by just 1 run means Afghanistan must secure a 36-run victory against Bangladesh to edge ahead on net run rate. If Australia wins a last ball chase, Afghanistan must wrap up their game in 15.4 overs or sooner, assuming a first innings score of 160. India with a stellar net run rate of 2.425 seems safe, but if Australia and Afghanistan both win big, the tables could turn. Australia needs 41-run victory over India to overtake them, while Afghanistan must beat Bangladesh by at least 83 runs to leapfrog India. Scenario 2. If India and Bangladesh win, India tops the group with 6 points. The remaining 3 teams will be tied on 2 points each, with net run rate deciding the second semi-finalist. Australia, currently with a net run rate of 0.223, is best placed. Even if Afghanistan loses by 1 run, Australia must lose by 31 runs for their net run rate to fall below Afghanistan. For Bangladesh to qualify, they need to win by 31 runs and hope Australia lose by at least 55 runs. Scenario 3. If Australia and Bangladesh win, India and Australia marched into the semi-finals with 4 points each, leaving Afghanistan and Bangladesh behind on 2 points. Scenario 4. If India and Afghanistan win, both teams advances to the semi-final with 6 and 4 points respectively. The stage is set for a thrilling finish in Group 1. Who will rise and who will fall? Stay tuned as the drama unfolds in the Men's T20 World Cup. With cameraperson S. Shankar, this is Taposh Bhattacharya for DD India from St. Lucia.
From cricket to soccer now, striker Nicholas Füllkrug's powerful header came off the bench to grab an equaliser against Switzerland on Sunday that sends Germany through to the last 16 of Euro 2024. Germany are now on a 7-game unbeaten run stretching back to November and kept plugging away until the equaliser eventually came through Füllkrug. Germany topped the pool with 7 points from their 3 games, 2 ahead of Switzerland. Also, Switzerland's passage through to the last 16 is also secure. Earlier, Hungary snatched a 100th-minute winner on Sunday to beat Scotland 1-0 and put themselves in contention for a last 16 spot. Kevin Zobot's breakaway goal with almost the last kick of the match ensured Hungary finished third in Group A with 3 points, while Scotland end in last place on 2 points. The Olympic torch relay marked Olympic Day by winding its way through the Haute-Savoie region in the French Alps on Sunday. Torchbearers carried the Olympic flame on foot, boat and train from the commune of Evian-les-Bains to Chamonix-Mont-Blanc, where the first Winter Olympic Games were hosted 100 years back in 1924. Alright, that's it in this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR codes on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us at In Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.